What's up, everybody? It's RJ here. Welcome back to the Find Your Flow channel. This is where we go after your dream goals and spend more time in that peak state of flow. And in today's video, that's exactly what we're talking about, is one of the components of the flow state that I think is very important to understand because it's the term that's used a lot when it comes to flow. And it's also something that's integral to the characteristics of the flow state. And that is the Autotelic experience. So we're just going to riff a little bit today in this episode, talking about what does that mean and how you can work towards making experiences more autotelic for yourself. So autotelic comes from the Greek words autos and telos, and that means self and goal. So in essence, it's about intrinsic related goals or things that are generated from within you. You're not being oriented or directed from something external to you. And in terms of flow, when an experience becomes autotelic, it's because we're seeking after the experience itself rather than some end goal that we have in mind with it. So the examples of rock climbing, somebody's trying to get to the top of the mountain. So in the example of the rock climbers on the wall, flow is going to be driven partially through the fact that there is something that they're trying to accomplish. But we find that those people that get the most flow out of their activities have that highest level of passion. It's because of this autotelic experience. They are fully embodied in the present moment, each and every millisecond on the wall. So that is much more the important component of making an experience autotelic. And it doesn't have to be an extreme sport like surfing or downhill mountain biking. In order for an experience to be autotelic, a lot of the research that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi did into flow was actually in rather normal populations. And he found that those that ranked highest in life satisfaction described this autotelic experience as being really part of the key components to where they got this satisfaction from. They were fully present in what they were doing at their jobs, and that was what helped to lead them to greater experience of flow and ultimately meaning in their lives. And so that's really what it's all about, is trying to become more internally driven and making it this autotelic component to the flow state, because that is really important to the characteristics of it. So let's talk a little bit about making your experiences more autotelic, more internally driven by just being fully embodied in the present moment and getting the most out of it through flow. Really, part of it is about stripping away the ego. You've got to let go of whatever it is that's driving you too much towards the end point and become more present in the journey itself. So we want to have those goals that we are working towards, because flow is driven by goals in some capacity, but we want to strip away the ego from those goals so that we're not really holding ourselves completely to that we have to get some specific outcome. The more that we can get rid of that aspect of it and use the goals in the way that I like to call them, with dream goals, where maybe you're not going to ever actually achieve it, but it's something that keeps you going along the journey. That's a way to trick yourself into becoming more embodied in the present along the journey, and it makes that experience much more of that autotelic style. And then the next thing that's really important is we've also got to build up some skill. We know that flow goes through a cycle and starts with the struggle phase, and this is both on a micro level and a macro level. So when you're getting started out with anything that you maybe have an inkling is something that's going to drive you into flow a lot, that you want to pursue, maybe you've got an interest and passion in it, it doesn't really matter, but across the board, we can repeatedly see ourselves come back into flow more frequently when we appreciate the journey and get through that struggle phase initially. And it just takes some learning, it takes some patience, and ultimately the better you get, you can start to stack some of those skills together into a reasonable amount of challenge that it's going to drive you more into flow, and you're going to be much more autotelic oriented with those activities once you've got some base level laid down for yourself. So remember that in a lot of ways, it just comes down to that make, learn, repeat cycle. And you're going to want to make something, go back to the drawing board, learn what you did well, learn what you did wrong, and then repeat after learning and applying things that are new. And regardless of what activity it is, this is the way that we level up. This is the way we approach mastery. And also, if we do it with enough clear goals and deliberation, it becomes more flowy. And in that sense, we're able to rapidly accelerate our path towards mastery, because flow is an alternate route to mastery, as opposed to just trying to grind through that deliberate practice. And then one final thing that bears repeating is that you don't have to go out and do some sort of extreme action sport in order to get into the flow state or in order to find your autotelic experience. It just takes a bit of practice and a bit of time to build up some skill, some base level for yourself. And then it also takes the focus of having clear goals, but not obsessing too much over that endpoint. And ultimately, you'll start to find yourself in more of that autotelic experience. So I hope you liked the video. There's always more to talk about in the realm of peak performance and flow states. So be sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you're struggling with in terms of finding your flow, because I'd love to address that in future videos. And so remember, as always, to hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell to be notified of new videos so that you can stay up to date on all of the talk around flow. And as always, until next time, dream on and find your flow.